I told you what happened. You told us that you were asleep. I didn't kill my husband.
Hello, sweetie.
Daddy!
Nick?
Ever hear something called double jeopardy? The state says you already killed your husband. They can't convict you of it a second time. When you leave here, you can kill him.
Don't go anywhere.
There's nothing anybody can do about it.
Hello, Nick.
Double Jeopardy, Wednesday at 9.
Humanism and atheism are examined in detail in Essentials of Faith here on ITV1 in half an hour. Have to look at vanity in It's My Life.
If I said you had a beautiful body, you probably wouldn't believe me. Statistics show that Britain's young people are increasingly dissatisfied with the way they look. So what do? Myleene Klass, formerly of pop band Hearsay, didn't like being a size 14, so she slimmed down to a size 8. Lana really didn't like her breasts, so she had cosmetic surgery to get bigger ones. Leona felt she looked bad after having a baby, so she turned into a gym and diet fanatic. We've become a nation obsessed with changing the way we look. Vanity, the subject of today's It's My Life. And welcome to It's My Life. Looking good has never been such big business. Fashion, makeup, the gym, diets, cosmetic surgery. We're a society obsessed with making the body beautiful. The number of cosmetic surgery procedures is up by over 50% on the year before. But why this urge to change? Here to discuss the issues, Catholic author and journalist Joanna Bogle and fashion journalist Karen Clarkson. But first, let's meet the beautiful people. Now, Myleene, there you are. From size 14 to a size 8. What was that all about?
It's funny that you say that I didn't like being a size 14. I actually loved it. After being in a band and, you know, dance routines all the time and set diets, I actually really loved indulging in the food I wanted to eat. So it wasn't really planned. It was just something that happened while I was working.
Well, I was going to say size 14.
No, I loved it.
Marilyn Monroe was a size 14.
The thing is, people get so obsessed with sizes. I have to fit into a size 8 pair of jeans. But then, at the same time, you could be looking at your friend who might be very, very slender, fitting into the same pair of jeans. If your bone structure isn't the same as your friends, well, then you're obviously going to look very different. So I think you should just really dress and fit your size, basically. Feel comfortable in your own skin.
Do you feel good as a size 8 now?
8, 10, 12, it really doesn't bother me. As long as I can do the job that it says on my passport, as long as I can play and be a musician, then that makes me happy. I don't want to become self-obsessed and at the same time put an extra pressure on myself that doesn't need to be there. If I put myself out there as a model, then there's a job description that I have to fulfill. But I put myself out there as a musician, and I'd rather spend the time worrying about my practice than about my diet sheet.
I mean, at the end of the day, talented musician or not, you weren't going to get the gig in Hearsay if you'd have been, well, for want of a better phrase, a bit of a munter, would you?
Well, according to some, they thought we were the ugliest band going, and we thought that was hilarious because we never wanted to conform anyway. But I just think it is going from one extreme to the next. You'll never be the smallest person. The first thing that happens is you open your dressing room door, there's a new band, and they're twice as thin and twice as small. So you do literally have to just be comfortable in your own skin and do what's right for you.
In order to do music, which is something that you love,
yeah,
would you be prepared to have cosmetic surgery in order to prolong your career? And...
Oh, my mum would be so upset because she thinks, you know, the genes that my dad and her gave me, that I should just be grateful that I've got 2 legs that can get me to places and 2 arms that I can do things with, and to become too self-obsessed would just make me vacant.
Lana, what did you have done?
What did I have done? A boobs done.
You had your boobs done, but they're not like the sort of Jordan-style boobs, are
No.
they?
Didn't want to go sitting there and holding them. Not like that.
So why did you have them done to be kind of, to look normal?
Yeah, I was this size before I had children. I had 2 children, they went down, and when you've had children, anyone who knows, they go like that. And they sink, and it's not nice. So I just went back to being me.
Oh, and what's it actually done for you?
I walk down the street and I do feel a lot better about myself. I feel like I could take my top off on a beach and feel better about myself. And if I lie down, they don't go here. like they used to. It's just me again.
I mean, I was going to say that a lot of girls who've got naturally very large breasts hate the fact that blokes are always looking at the breasts rather than looking at them.
Don't bother me.
Yeah.
Don't bother me in the slightest. Because if they're talking to your boobs, it's obvious they're not interested in what you're saying, so you're not interested in talking to them.
Do you not think it says something about a girl? I remember, you know, Simon Cowell saying that he always preferred girls who had fake breasts because it basically meant they were more up for it. That they were into sex. This is what he said, not me.
I do think women look a lot sexier with bigger boobs. I don't know, I guess women are meant to have boobs.
Joanna, what do you think of, you know, perfectly nice-looking girls like Lana, having boob jobs and everything? Is it a healthy thing? Do you mind, or do you think it's something like the, you know, the thin end of the wedge of the moral decay?
I think the way it's been discussed has been very vulgar. I was more interested in what this young lady was saying because she's very pretty and is obviously a happy person who's doing something interesting with her life. And I think you were making the interesting point that it's good to look good and feel good, and I think your parents have brought you up to be very sensible. But really it's what you are, it's your personality. And the reason I think they started the programme with you is that your personality is bright and sparky. And I honestly think that it's what we are inside, which is obviously reflected in the way we dress and behave, and our appearance. But there's nothing to beat the inner personality. And I remember once having a discussion at a supper party. One of the people there was a very, very beautiful film actress, quite a well-known one, and we got onto the subject of beauty, and she really was a great deal more beautiful than anybody else in the room. But we got onto the subject of what is beauty. And the really funny thing was that it was she who said that her idea of real female beauty was Mother Teresa, who was a funny little wrinkly old nun. But there's something about Mother Teresa's huge, sparkling eyes, the fact that you'd be drawn to her in a room. She was more interesting than most other women. She was doing something, and something shone out of her. And I would say, honestly, she was beautiful. Yeah. And as that actress talked about her, she shone in her beauty too.
OK, I'm going to ignore the vulgarity thing, because I would prefer to call it directness.
Well, I call it vulgarity.
Well, I call it directness, right. But then it's a difference in kind of a sort of bourgeois thinking.
Well, it's a difference in accuracy, perhaps.
And, yeah. well, kind of bourgeois thinking, and what this show is all about, which is being fairly direct. Lana, what do you think of what Joanna said? It's about personality and not so much about your breasts. And
it is about personality, but it is about looks as well. If I wanted to be a glamour model and I had my photo taken, I had horrible boobs, they're not going to see my inside beauty, are they, through a picture?
I mean, isn't that a truth, though, about today's society? We are all judged on the way we look.
As I've indicated, I think the vulgar nature of the discussion being open was rather a pity. But yes, I do think looks matter. I think we'd all agree with that. And don't you think? I mean, the way we are and the way we dress. And to be honest, somebody who looks good, who's taken care in the way they dress, gives pleasure to other people. And you feel better. I mean, everybody knows that. You dress very carefully for a job interview. We all want to look gorgeous on the most important days of our lives. A bride looking great for her wedding, yes, it's important. But what I think is silly is to let this degenerate into a discussion which doesn't discuss the real issues. Well, now, there are some real issues
here. Wait, hang on a minute. Why are we not discussing the real issues here? Because I think we are.
Yes,
we might not be doing it like some very pleasant upper-middle-class supper party, but we are discussing the issues. And the issues are that we are all judged on our looks.
That's your problem. It's not a class issue.
I don't refer to people as vulgar.
What I want to discuss is the real issues, and I think we can do it without having to be vulgar about parts of our body.
Explain vulgar. Hang on a minute.
Do you think
Joanna, before we continue, would you like to explain vulgar to us?
No,
what you mean by vulgar?
As a journalist, I find that I use words with a precise meaning, and I don't bother to talk class jargon or rude to people.
So do you think Lana's done something wrong?
I think the idea that you would feel an obligation to talk about something so intimate on television is probably an indication that society isn't comfortable with it. But I met somebody who was dreadfully facially deformed, and they had an operation that completely changed their lives because they came from a country where there wasn't the money to have an operation, and when they came to Britain they were changed.
Yeah, but you've not answered my question.
Really
do you think that Lana did something wrong?
I don't think it's any valuable in talking about when somebody's doing something right or wrong in that way. No, I don't think so. I mean, I just don't think, it's just not an interesting subject to discuss. I think that actually having something done to change you could change your life if you were really badly deformed.
And don't you think that when we were discussing with Lana about having a breast operation, that was discussed, the fact that it changes people's attitudes towards you? But then again, people will look at somebody like Jordan, who, you know, had a boob job, suddenly she's making millions. And at the end of the day, she has made a lot of money out of basically having very, very large boobs.
That doesn't mean what she's doing is right and non-vulgar.
Exactly.
Well,
I think you're getting into a tunnel of...
Lana obviously wasn't comfortable with the way she was, with how her boobs was, so obviously her personality wasn't the same, she was feeling unhappy. So by her changing herself and making herself her own image and she'll feeling more comfortable, it's going to make her a happier person. So regards to personality, maybe it's making her a better person by getting something done to improve her. Because if that's what makes her happy, then why not do something to make her happy?
We'll take a break there, but join us in part 2 when we'll meet Princeton Valentino Green, the artist currently known as Prince, and dancer Leona. Are you ready to see their six-pack? Join us after this.
For these 4 children, food has become an obsession.
In a few years, he could be 30 stone.
It makes me feel like abnormal, being overweight.
Now we're sending them to the House of Correction, where they'll get one last chance.
It's hard. It's not just going to fall off.
Look at this as a family problem. You're slowly killing the children. How does that make you feel?
Terrible.
Oh, Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood.
The Transform series continues with Overweight Kids, Monday at 9 on ITV1.
I told you what happened. You told us that you were asleep. I didn't kill my husband.
Hello, sweetie.
Daddy!
Nick?
Ever hear something called double jeopardy? The state says you already killed your husband. They can't convict you of it a second time. When you leave here, you can kill him.
Don't go anywhere.
There's nothing anybody can do about it.
Hello, Nick.
Double Jeopardy, Wednesday at 9.
And welcome back to It's My Life. Vanity is our subject today, as we ask why are so many dissatisfied with the way they look that they've got to change things. Well, change things is something Prince certainly did. Prince, you're a stripper. You used to be a Chippendale. Now you're in a new group. What is it, Flesh for Fantasy or something?
That's the one, from the Full Monty, the movie The Full Monty.
Yeah, now I know you're a fitness fanatic. You go to the gym every day, but what else did you have to do?
Well, I've had cheek implants, and I've had a rhinoplasty, which is like the nose kind of slightly altered.
And but I mean, that's quite drastic, isn't it, having cheek implants? And...
Well, I've listened to what people have said today, and, we live in a society that is actually dominated, by looks. You can't get away from it. It doesn't matter what you say about, it's your personality that counts. To a degree, your personality does count. But when was the last time you saw somebody walking across the road and a friend go, look at that personality? It doesn't happen, And like Myleene, I was in a group, okay, not as popular, in the mainstream as her group, but you make your bread and butter by the way that you look. Let's not pussyfoot around here. If you're overweight or you're ugly, you are not, going to cut the mustard in today's society.
I mean, do you actually think that, in a way, you're not going to earn as good a living if you aren't particularly attractive?
Well,
No, I think it'd be boring. Sorry to cut in, but I think what made us so accessible was, oh, hasn't she put on a bit of weight? Oh, did you see the new haircut? That suits her a lot better. We're more like your neighbours that you could keep tabs on, and you could see how we could progress rather for the best or the worst.
That's probably the reason why the group came to its demise. Because at the end of the day, without being rude, okay, right? Without being rude, okay, right? You were the talented member of the group. I came from a group that was actually constructed the way that we looked physically, the way that your body looks, the way that you look on stage, the way that you look facially. Now, you couldn't have a male review troupe, a bunch of strippers, if you want to call them Chippendales, whatever you want to call them, dream boys, on stage, enticing the ladies, selling out across the world. If you had like overweight.
But that becomes horses for courses, because personally, I like guys with a bit of a rough edge. I love guys with tattoos, people who've just got something different about them. So as long as one of those people was in your group, then I'd buy into it. I really do
we'll
think...
send you on some prison visits. Leona, you're a gym fanatic.
I am.
I mean, it's almost like a religion to you, isn't it?
It very much is.
I mean, how many hours a day do you spend down the gym?
Various. I've got a little baby, so I have to work around my baby, because he's only 2. I'll go a couple of hours in the morning, a couple of hours in the night, if I can get there. And I'm just training for competition coming up, so I'll get in as much as I can. I'd go in all day if I could.
Yeah, because you're also a female bodybuilder, aren't you?
Yeah, doing body fitness.
and you actually feel depressed if you don't go to the gym for one day.
Yeah, I will actually. I'll sit and cry. I've actually just come out of hospital on Friday. I spent a week in a hospital, and I will be honest, I was in the toilets, doing the sit-ups, doing the push-ups, and I even got my partner to come and pick me up at visiting hours and take me to the gym so they wouldn't notice I'd gone.
What, steal you away from hospital to go to the gym?
Yeah. I was in there for a week. And
It's utterly pathetic. Because
You keep going on about.
All right, let me ask you a question. How much did you spend on getting surgery?
I didn't spend it, my dad did.
Okay. You wasted his money. I think you both wasted your money. I thought it was supposed to make you look better.
I'll tell you what, my friend,
okay,
I'll tell you what, okay, right?
I thought it was supposed to make you look better.
You're allowed your opinion, okay, right? But I live and work in the real world, okay, right? And as far as I'm concerned, looks, I am actually a commodity, okay, right? So a lot of people in here, okay, right? And if you want to feel better about yourself, you want to look attractive, okay, the technology is there, so you go and do it. To have an opinion in today's society, to turn around and say, you think we're sad, if you stay at home and play Scrabble, then, you know, you're one of those sad guys.
Hang on a minute. Wait a minute, Andre. Tamanna's had a hand up longer than you.
What I think is a shame is that there is a society that does dictate the fact that you do have to look a certain way. The fact that there's a certain figure that's being perpetuated. Not everybody has a father who's going to pay to have surgery on them. Not everybody is going to be able to achieve a certain body. And that's a real problem, because when we look at society, we do have problems with people with their figures. You said in the beginning, people aren't impressed with the way that they look, because on television you see people who have like these perfect bodies which aren't real. And then you've got real problems like anorexia and bulimia, and that's a real problem on society. It shouldn't be a society that tells you have to look a certain way. It shouldn't be that... It is, but it shouldn't be that way, and I don't think that this is something that we should be encouraging. The fact that people have to look a certain way, that you don't look happy because your figure isn't a certain way, that's just not right.
But I mean, but actually, isn't the thing that's the system we live in? You know, we're made to feel dissatisfied, so we buy things.
Why not challenge it? Why just accept it?
Exactly.
Well, that's what we're doing here, aren't we, in many ways? We're discussing it. Andre, go on.
I mean, everyone says we live in a society where you have to look a certain way, otherwise you will get nowhere in life. Well, I'm overweight, I don't care, frankly, and I get where I want to go in life. I have a well-paid job, I have everything I want. So, you know, it's a case of I'm the way I want to be, and I'm frankly not all that interested now. The point is, you know, beauty can be defined differently by different people. Prince is shouting at people for being fat and ugly. I genuinely thought...
He's not shouting.
I genuinely thought he was a transsexual.
I think you're... Hang on, let somebody else have a word now.
You're saying that's an insult. You look like a transsexual. That should not be used as an insult.
Hold on. Did you actually say that I look like a transsexual?
I thought you were a transsexual.
Listen. Okay. My life, okay, right, is a million miles away from your life. Honestly, and I've tasted things in this world that you couldn't even dream of. Okay, right? So you stay in your little, your little bubble that doesn't exist in reality.
Okay, you want to say something?
I would just like to say, basically, I actually know Prince myself because I actually live in Manchester and I go on the gay scene every week or nearly every day. And to what you said there about him being transsexual is bang out of order. You have no right to say that in the first place.
What he looks like to me.
It doesn't make a difference. Right? Basically, I'm sorry.
That people do feel bad that they don't look a certain way, but that is literally because of the media putting these people up, perpetuating the idea that there is a...
No, I mean, I've had...
No.
Yeah, go on.
I think these girls, they're all really beautiful, and like, you know, what you've all done is fine. What does concern me is just for you, like, it's brilliant that you're going to gym and you take care of yourself, but what concerns me is that that it's becoming something that you're a bit obsessive about.
Yeah, but everyone has an obsession. I don't do it because I want to conform to society.
Yeah,
I do it because it lets off chemicals in your brain.
Yeah.
That is what I need. I need to keep going. I've got a 2-year-old that I sit at home with. I don't know anyone where I live. I've moved to that area. So what else do I do? I enjoy going to the gym. Some people might enjoy doing a jigsaw, playing Scrabble, playing ice hockey, whatever. I enjoy going to the gym.
Getting depressed about it, not
just
going.
Wait.
Because I feel like
She's just telling you the truth. Karen Clark said, you're a fashion journalist. They blame you for this sort of thing, don't they?
Well, I don't...
Is it your fault?
I don't know. I don't think it's my fault at all. I think that the whole point of fashion
in the media is simply to kind of provide some entertainment. It's not...
To sell clothes, isn't it?
Well, to sell clothes, you know, you can flick through a glossy magazine. You're not going to buy... Most of the women that read Vogue don't buy all the clothes in it. So it's just entertainment, and it's just something that's maybe aspirational. I mean, men might look in a car magazine, and they might want... You know, a man might open a car magazine and want to see... cars. They're not going to want to see a clapped-out old Fiesta. That might be what they drive, but they want to look at Ferraris. And I think it's the same with fashion and in sort of women's press. It's just something to aspire to, something that's just attractive, something that really gives a little bit of pleasure to look at nice clothes and nice images.
Hang on. Joanna Bogle, there you go. Nobody wants to look at a clapped-out Ford Fiesta. Is that the problem with our society?
No, I think at last we're having some common sense and we've stopped discussing everything in such a gross way. If we're going to talk about beauty in clothes, this is a lot more interesting. She's really onto something here. The whole question of beauty and the attractive way we dress and the importance of different clothes for different occasions, this is a subject of enormous interest. And one of the things that really saddens me is that, in fact, fashion over the last few years has got duller and duller. An awful lot of people think they've got to wear just denim jeans and a little top. And if you look at fashion down the centuries, there was such a rich variety. Now, you're dressed beautifully, if I may say so. I think it's gorgeous, the lovely sparkly skirt. I love looking at fabulous wedding dresses. But, you know, most girls, there's only about 3 times in their life they get to wear a really lovely dress, their wedding dress and maybe a couple of other parties. These days, the idea of beauty and charm and the value of historical fashions has all been lost because everyone's obsessed with talking about things in a more vulgar way. Now, the whole question of vanity is different again.
Wait a minute. Can I defend?
Do you know what
But one thing is true. No, one thing that's true is that we point out at the beginning is it don't generate into vulgarness. I'm sorry, but what they did was, to me, vulgar. Yes, I think it was vulgar.
That's you.
I think... Wait, OK, it's my... Well, let me finish. Let us finish.
It's a different
The point is...
Exactly.
Not generation. I'm younger. The point is that some people possess things which are modesty and just general self-worth. Now, our religion tells us, as Muslims, that we should cover ourselves up, we should be modest, we should have some self-worth. And dignity. Wait a minute, it's my opinion. Let me finish. It's my opinion. So I'm thinking it's vulgar purely because I believe it. And if you don't think that's true, then that's your opinion, and I accept it. So I think it's vulgar.
Yes, there's something else as well. We were going to discuss vanity. What interests me is that vanity is a problem in our society. We're being encouraged, I think, to think about the silly, the trivial. We've lost the sense of people being a little bit, you know, self-deprecating, and we've certainly lost the ability of people to think about others, not themselves.
Correct.
That, to me, is the issue.
Correct.
That has nothing to do with
Everything's about a choice. They choose to. It's like with the boobs. If something's broke, you fix it. It's not like she's gone and done it and said, I just want bigger boobs, just for me, just to show off. It's because she's had children. And it's like, if they want to go out and make a living from that and she wants to go to the gym every day, well, why not?
The expression is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's the expression. Yeah, if her boobs are in operation and they work, and then what's the point? You know, they're fine.
Exactly. Why should the happiness come from your appearance?
Basically, Joanna, why not? You know, why should people have to stay in their little boxes all the way in life? Just so that people like you won't think it's vulgar?
No. The whole point I've been able to say is that actually a lot of people here are in their little box, sadly trapped in feeling obliged to go to the gym instead of getting a life.
Excuse me. Stood at the back in the green room talking about playing Scrabble for hours on end.
There's a lot of value in getting out and doing something large with your life. And part of that is looking good and feeling good and dressing in a good way. But if you make that the whole of your life, you are a sad person.
Okay, well, we need to take a break there, but do join us in part 3 when we'll be looking deeper into the subject of vanity and faith. We'll be right back.
Why would the killer leave his shooter behind?
Some kind of calling card?
A gruesome murder.
Looking for clues, Robbie?
It's the only thrill he gets these days.
A race against time.
The serial number and the murder weapon?
Love it when you talk dirty to me.
A classic case for Taggart.
A man's found dead an hour after you leave him. Next day his partner's shot in your premises. If I was you, I would start thinking hard about these funny wee coincidences.
You're putting 2 and 2 together.
We're getting 4. That's a double murder and an attempted murder so far.
Taggart, Tuesday at 9, ITV1. Down at camp, one recruit has completely lost it.
What the hell's happened there?
It's all gone, Sergeant.
Who's done that?
I did, Sergeant. I didn't like my haircut.
Shut up! An officer must have the right length hair. Get it on.
Sergeant.
Get the wig on. On or off?
Off.
Leave the wig on.
Just give that a Mohican.
Quite like it.
Bad Lads Army Officer Class, Thursday at 9, ITV1 and 2.
And welcome back to It's My Life. Before the break, we were talking about faith and vanity. And Nital, you're a Hindu. Does having a faith help you put vanity in perspective?
Well, obviously looking good is important to everyone. Now, Hinduism doesn't really promote having plastic surgery and that, because they say that if whatever you've been given by God, you should be happy with it. Now, say if something like Lana, she wanted to have a boob job because it made her feel better, which is fine, but when people take it out of hand, like saying, oh, my nose is a bit crooked, I want to get that done, or look, I want to look like Angelina Jolie, so I'm going to get my eyes done, that's when you take it out of hand. You know, that's when it's way out of order, I think. Just because you want to look like someone, you're going to get plastic surgery done, that's when it's wrong. I think you should have plastic surgery done if you're going to feel better, and if it's recommended, say if you have an accident or something, that's when plastic surgery is necessary.
And yet Hinduism as a religion. Hinduism as a religion was the one that started, things like yoga, exercise systems, out of which later, in Buddhism you got all the sort of kung fu and the martial arts and everything. So, is it not quite an important part of the religion to keep healthy and keep fit?
Yeah, obviously you keep healthy the natural way, do you know what I mean? If you go to the gym, and if it makes you feel better, do yoga. And growing, like people make a massive deal about growing, oh my God, I got a wrinkle here, I've got to go and do this and that. But so what if you're getting old? It's a natural process of life. If you've got, do you know what, who are you out to impress?
You stand there and say people are wrong for doing this. It's their bodies, it's their choice.
No, I'm not saying they're wrong.
You did, you said that's when it's wrong.
Yeah, when it's not wrong, it's my opinion, that's when I think they're going over the board.
Hang on.
To answer the point about religion, Islamically, it's not just my life, it's our life. That's what the whole thing is. It's about society, and it's about what effect your vanity or what your appearance has on society, and that's what's important. And I think important to Christianity, important to Judaism and a lot of religions as well. It's not just about thinking about what makes you feel good, but what the wider repercussions for society is. So when it comes to dressing modestly, when it comes to looking a certain way, for Muslims, for Muslim women and for men, it's about dressing modestly so that people aren't looking at you for your body. Because yes, we can appreciate that women are very, very beautiful. We can appreciate that.
So is vanity a sin? Is that what you're saying?
Vanity, I'm not looking at it in point of view of a sin particularly. I mean, it can be if you take it too far. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with looking good. But what I mean is, not everybody has the same degree of beauty, but we shouldn't judge people on their beauty and shouldn't put the onus on people to change it, because they might not have the money, they might not have the resources.
Oh, sorry,
Islam and of women covering up. It's said a lot in Western society that Islam is very oppressive to women, but I think in some respects Islam is actually very liberating for women, because it encourages you to cover up. Why do you cover up? So that men are listening to what you're saying.
Teddy, I think it's wrong for actual religion to go and tell people the way that they should dress and the way that they should look.
Absolutely.
I remember the example. It said that, I remember when I was at university, the Muslim women, they would leave their homes dressed in the traditional clothes for, the family to go and see them as leaving. But as soon as they got into university, they'd be straight in the toilets with the jeans and the T-shirts in the bag, because they're wearing what they want.
Yeah, okay.
Could I please respond to this? Since you're talking about Islam, could I please defend this point?
Karen.
From a Christian perspective, I'd just like to say that we say that, God's made us happy and our relationship with Jesus has made us a vibrant person. So we like to share that on the outside, which is why I do take pride in my appearance. But I think that you can take it too far sometimes. And I think that having cosmetic surgery is something that often people do if they're not happy about themselves. And that might not be the case in some other people's point of view, but younger children, when they're saying, when I grow up, I'm going to have boobs this big and stuff, I think that's when, we're crossing the line into something that's a lot more dangerous. And I think in Christianity, we're encouraged in a certain way of dressing, in the fact that I wouldn't go out showing my stomach, or I wouldn't go out flashing my boobs, because I know that sometimes guys struggle with that, and other Christian guys are encouraged not to stare at girls' boobs and not to look at their stomachs. So if I'm walking around with my stomach exposed, I think that that's a negative way, and it's not me loving them and it's not me being nice to them. So that's why I decided to dress the way I do.
I don't go out with my stomach showing or my boobs showing.
I've never gone out with my stomach showing. I'm not
Have
having
I got
six
any
pack.
showing?
I don't, because I've asked to show them, but I would never wear a top.
If you disagreed with this one, which you would have disagreed. You would
Who's
have
saying
said
I'm
no.
disagreeing? I'm saying I don't go out on a night out or through the day with my stomach showing. I do not even train in the gym with a little top on. I have baggy clothes on. I do the way I feel because I want to be like this.
But
I'm not walking around with little tops on, am I? I was asked to do it.
So did you do everything you're asked?
I think there clearly is a legitimate link between what you believe, whether it's religious or not, and how you dress. And I don't think you have to be a Christian, although I am one, but I don't think you have to be a Christian to see that vanity is pathetic. It's a sad way of living. It's self-obsessed.
Are you wearing makeup?
But I think that the idea that what you believe should influence the way you dress is surely something that's in a free country.
She was at the back there like that, posing
But
a
I
couple
also
of
think
faces.
that what we lack in
That's
Britain
making
is
yourself
any
look- that's
kind of
fantastic.
coherent view
That's
about
She's wearing
dress.
makeup.
The conversation has become sort of silly because we've lost a sense of authentic culture. We got nearest to it when the fashion ladies started to talk about the importance of going through books and choosing about nice things to wear. We were just beginning to get somewhere
So why
interesting.
don't you like what people have been saying?
I don't disagree with everything that has been said, but I just am interested in this idea that what you believe should influence the way you dress. And I don't see why we have to be deeply offended by that.
Down to religion all the
I
time.
don't see why we have to be
Why?
offended by
Why?
that. And if you want to believe something about the value of human beings, you don't have to be religious to believe that. I think you're allowed to dress in a
But
certain
again,
way.
I mean, one of the things is we're having quite an open discussion here, Joanna, but whenever it goes in an area that you're not particularly comfortable with, you seem
not
to find it
comfortable.
insulting.
No, it's not a comfort thing.
Karen,
It's not a comfort
it
problem.
was all right for Joanna when you were speaking, so I'll let you speak again. This kind of pressure and then all these different restraints on society. I mean, the newspapers not think, well, let's be responsible and let's not show models in skimpy outfits, especially if Mohammed here fires off a few angry letters.
Well, I mean, I don't think I've never actually worked on anything that really is too much about showing models in skimpy outfits. I think fashion and vanity are two separate things, and I think that you know, fashion is an interest, it's a passion as much as art is, or as much as reading is. So
But also, why do you have to be slim? I mean, even Mohammed, although he's not vain, you've lost a few pounds, haven't you? since last
That's
time?
stress, me. Try doing a law degree at Manchester University, that's stress. Then you lose the weight.
He's obviously got some vanity because he's got gel or something on his hair. He's tried styling his hair. That's a vanity. He's trying to look good.
Yeah, he's got a lovely jumper as well. Very nice.
Exactly. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Phil. Your vanity is excessive. That's the difference
Only
between
got in
you
the
and
gym.
me.
She's not mugging old ladies.
Her going to the gym
Hang on.
is excessive. Can I just make a point as to what you said about these two? Prince, basically, I know, who's had surgery to basically, you know, look good and, you know, look handsome. I mean, to me, basically, he looks really good. And to this woman here, who actually goes to the gym every single time because she actually feels comfortable going to the gym, you're actually just basically saying that it's not right to do that. And it is right to do that. I mean, you said it yourself it was right, not right.
to do that.
Yes, you did.
Excessive. Thank you, Josh.
Wait, Diana.
What I just wanted to say is I think a lot of people are arguing about vanity and taking pride in your appearance, but you're not defining the difference. I think what they're arguing against is people becoming obsessive and becoming vain about it. What they're saying is you should take pride in your appearance, which is fair enough as well.
And I like the
But
question.
they're just saying don't take it to an extreme, and that's what everybody's arguing
Finally,
about.
Myleene, you're in an industry which, you know, you're forced to be vain, aren't you, in a way?
Well, you have the choice. I mean, yes,
The
you
pressure's
do.
there, I mean,
You do
there's a
sit
lot
in a
of
dressing
pressure.
room for 2 hours. People get you ready. Then you go onto the stage, and then you can watch your television performance back if you choose to. But it then goes to which degree you want to take it to. I basically think if you're not harming anybody and you're not harming yourself, then I don't think anyone has any business telling you how to run your life. But at the same time, yes, I know these issues are around, but nobody said that being slightly overweight is how we should conform to. In the same breath, you can't say that being thin is going to equate success. At the same time, just make sure you've got the goods to back it up.
Thanks, Myleene. Well, that's all we have time for, and it's My Life and our look at the subject of vanity. Thanks to all our guests today, to our wonderful audience, and to you for watching. I'm off for 500 press-ups and a curry. Till next time on It's My Life, goodbye.